Hey everyone, it's Clint. Welcome to Sweetcast. This probably be a shorter video today. I want to talk a little bit about fulfillment because I just got finished fulfilling a massive crowdfunding campaign. I realize that there are bigger ones out there, okay? And if a crowdfunding campaign reached a certain level, nothing I'm going to say here applies. But I still think what I really want to do is actually make the case for fulfilling your own crowdfunding campaign, even if it does get large. I don't even know how to describe what size is large. So I almost had 1,000 packages to send out. Officially, it was like 924 backers, 924 packages, but it ended up being more because, you send a few out to some people as thank yous. You have some that come back, you have some that are damaged in the mail, all sorts of things like that. And so it just makes sense to be prepared to be sending some percentage more. So I'm still kind of working through that process. Everything's been shipped, but it's, making sure that everything gets to where it needs to go. And, so it'll probably be a couple weeks until all of the dust settles, I imagine, at least. All right, so I saw this on Twitter. This was that book. What was it called? Saving Solo or Taking Solo? I forgot. It was one of the Fandom Menace books that kind of was Comicsgate Fandom Menace. Honestly, it was launched and the campaign ended well before I even knew, what was going on. And so, yeah, I didn't know a whole lot about that process. I didn't back it, and so on. So I saw some people showing pictures of damaged books, as I was looking for my books on Twitter that were being, received by people. And so I noticed, I looked at some of the books and I was like, wow, those have, they either have really scuffed up corners, or that was part of the design, and the cover kind of looked like an old school like Star Wars action figure, and so I thought maybe it was supposed to look that way. But from World Class BS, he says, "It has come to my attention that our fulfillment company for the comic has made a massive error. I have contacted them and will continue to contact them daily until the situation is corrected. I apologize for the issue. This is the first I'm hearing about it." Now, the issue was, if you look down here, he explains it. What is the error? He says, the company printed shipping information on the back of the comic book, placed it directly into the mail like a postcard. Wow. That is shocking. Shocking. When, you're into comics, especially when you pay, I'm guessing it was a $25 book, and, it's shipped like that through the mail. That's terrible. Now, I don't know about any of the details, so I'm definitely not throwing anybody under the bus because I don't know. However, this is not the first time I've heard about a fulfillment company making mistakes I want to say that they're obvious. I think in this case, this is very obvious. Another one was when the first round of Jawbreakers got shipped out, had something to do with the mailers being basically like sandpaper, I think is how he described them. And so having a fulfillment company, it really probably depends on what the fulfillment company is, how much they cost. There's so many factors into what they're going to do and how they're going to treat the books. Now, I'll tell you, for me, when I was figuring out how I was going to ship these books, a lot of it was asking questions to other people and how they fulfilled their campaigns, and some of it was looking at the numbers and doing some math and deciding, where I wanted to basically invest some money. So if you're investing more money in the mailer and the packaging, in theory, you're saving money on damages or, roughed up books because you're focusing on how it's shipped. In theory. Now, I don't really know how it all lays out and how it ends up and where you end up, but I figured the investment was worth it because you're sending something to your backers who really, if you think about it, have gone through kind of a really painful process, relatively speaking, to buy your book. So they've backed it online, it's taken money out, and then they've waited presumably for months in order to get their book. And so yeah, there's definitely a little bit more risk involved. You're asking more of your customers when it comes to crowdfunding than you are if you just have the book done and it's just a simple sales transaction. Now, I can already see the comments now that people think I'm spiking the ball or something. That's really honestly not my intention. I'm still getting, even ones I can't imagine, putting in those big thick mailers and sometimes like 2 books. And the post office, I don't know if they run it over a truck, you run it over, or they put it in a machine in the jaws of life or something, and they bend it. I don't know how they're bending it, but they've done it. Now, most of the books have gotten where they need to go, and that's fantastic. It looks like they're in great shape. But I'll tell you, it really was a lot of work. It was extremely stressful fulfilling my own campaign. And toward the end, I thought, I'm never going to do this again. I'm just going to have somebody else do it. But now, as I've been seeing people get the packages, and I know exactly what they look like. You know, I've seen people do little videos with unboxings, and I know when they open that up, they're getting exactly what I put in there in the order that I put them, and so on and so on. And so I think that that's actually worth it. That's a great thing. Now, it's easy to think that a fulfillment center is the right way to go, but there are actually several examples of really successful crowdfunders that do a lot of orders, and they're still fulfilling them themselves. I mean, Jason Brubaker's one. I know he just posted a video, and he kind of showed a little bit of his setup inside his garage. He had like 7 pallets worth. Am I getting things mixed up? Maybe it was 4 pallets. I forget. He had a lot of pallets in his garage parked in there with books. And you kind of figure out a system and how it's going to work. Obviously, you need space depending on how many books you get. Now, if I was somebody like Richard Meyer, who has thousands, I don't even know how many orders he's normally getting. I should probably look that up. Here it is, the most recent Jawbreakers. So good, Jawbreakers God King, 6,206 backers. That is a massive number, and I can tell you just from having, you know, less than a sixth of that, it takes up a lot of room. And so I honestly, in this case, like, yeah, it's genuinely too big. But something that I've noticed is I think a lot of people want to lean toward paying somebody else to do it when it's not really big enough that you'd need that. You could actually do it yourself, and there's some awesome advantages to doing so. And I think those advantages are actually pretty obvious. One is it's going to be less expensive if you do it yourself, and you can even hire people locally to do it. 2 is you're going to have control as to how they're put into the package, what kind of packaging you're using, how much tape you're using, all of that. Another one is that if you need to correct something, it's easy to do. You have control. I know I had one backer in particular that I don't remember what the circumstance was, but they were in a different country. So they might have moved countries where it was put in incorrectly or something right like that. And so to change countries at that point, I could not do. Indiegogo did not let me because it was locked because I was getting ready for shipment. So it was easy enough for me to just print a shipping label with the correct country listed and send it off, give them the correct tracking number. And as long as they get the book, nothing matters. Nothing else matters. I'm sure there are other benefits. And I don't know. I think it'll change over time also with how quickly it goes, how smoothly it goes. But I can tell you for myself, for the foreseeable future, I think I'm going to be fulfilling all of my own campaigns. The differences that I think I would do is try and allow myself a 2-week time period to fulfill a campaign. Trying to do 1,000 orders during 1 week was really tough to do, and it was actually more difficult than I had anticipated. But I've got a full-time job, and so, I couldn't have it hanging over my head and, taking up the living room space and all that for too long. So I really did want to get it done in a short period of time. I will say that even for a large campaign, I think this is going to be my personal rule of thumb. Once the backer number gets so high that you cannot fulfill the thing within about a 2 or 3 week time period by yourself, I think it's time to hire out. Not because you couldn't technically do it yourself, but because I do think that hitting everything inside of a reasonable window is important. Feel free to disagree. Let me know in the comments below. But I feel pretty strongly about this, that if you're shipping out a campaign, it is really, really nice to have a window of fulfillment time. You get it all out there, and people are really seeing it as a single release, as a comic book. There's enough, layover, I guess, on timeline for people getting their books, just as it is, because shipping varies so differently depending on where you're shipping to. So I really hope the best for those Stealing Solo books. And I hope he gets it all worked out. It sounds like he's going to, so that's great. But if you're thinking about doing a crowdfunding campaign, these are nice moments to learn from others, as opposed to having to go through essentially the same mistakes yourself. So I think it is definitely worth talking about for sure. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I got to tell you, Downcast number 2, I keep seeing every day, more and more people showing me they've got the book. I'm already committed to doing a Downcast 2 that'll be a second part to the story. And so, yeah, look out for that. It's going to be launching sometime in February. Probably I should really pick a date on that, and I will very soon. But yeah, I'm really excited to make the book a little thicker, add some more stuff, and make it the best possible product I can. So thanks very much. If you're interested in Downcast, you can sign up to the mailing list in the description below. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.